Hi, Shannon here. Just a horrible lie, like how my whole life was destroyed by these hospital. They told me that it was an acetaminophen overdose. The only reason why anybody came looking for me is because of a comment, and I'll read it here. And I'm going to use his name. I'm going to say his name is Peter, but his name isn't really Peter. But this is what prompted police to come looking for me in the first place. In the later part of the afternoon of March 29th, Peter arrived to Grail Springs for his shift at the kitchen. He seemed really edgy. When I saw him in the staff room, he immediately asked me if Shannon had came to work. I told him that we couldn't get in touch with her. Peter told me that he hoped Shannon hadn't offed herself and said he had been at her home the evening before and that she'd been drinking aggressively and wanting to have sex with him, so he left and walked all the way home, about 5 kilometers in the middle of the night. She felt sick to her stomach. He never did return to work that day. Okay, so that's the whole reason why anybody came looking for me. Then they find me in my home naked. I didn't know I was found naked till I started looking into this situation, which was this October of this year when I ran the whole story by my boyfriend, and he said that there was no way you had a heart attack. Get the medical records, because they told me I had a heart attack, and that's what caused my injuries. But anyhow, I'm going to show you what I've shown police and what I've shown the hospital, and the answers I get are unbelievable. But here, so anyways, I get the medical records to take a look at everything, and I find out that the overdose wasn't acetaminophen like they had told me that it was. The acetaminophen level was only 13.5 and danger is 999. It was actually, and this is the first test, so when I first came into hospital, it was a false positive and high for amphetamine. So it needed a more chemical component to figure out what was triggering that. So then that was, says that they're sending the broad spectrum to St. Michael's. And I'll show you that sheet in a second here, but here it talks about description of my body. It says rash on head, left eyeball, between legs, purple discoloration. I don't know if you can see that. It says that my lungs are clear when I went in, and then 4 days later you see that I have coarse airway and diminished cracks from this infection that was given to me, which is why I believe the fact that I was assaulted was withheld from me. Now we could go over to the testing, where they sent it to St. Michael's to find out, like, to get a more broad spectrum of what was triggering that. And if we look here, these are all commonly high in that particular drug that I'm going to show you. So these drugs are all commonly high in this particular drug that I believe was administered to me that night by this individual. And I believe he's been allowed to get away with it because of the injury that I sustained from having to put a catheter in me to give me the Narcan. So there's that. And then there's this. This shows you that the acetaminophen level was only 13.5. So then we get in here and it says, like right there, that you can see that it says that it's a repeat on a diluted sample. Hold on, sorry. And it's the St. Michael's on it. So then we continue in here, and then we get to, oh, sorry, I took it out. Just 1 second. Hold on 1 second. we see right here the date rape drugs. And if you look on this sheet here, the date rape drugs, you see that it has the protaxin where it says high, and the di whatever, and then the benzolipine, how it says high there as well. Do you see that? Those and the AL, and you follow AL down, and AL shows the Mendelism and high in it. So if they're claiming that they gave this to me to incubate me, that's false, because we'll even read here, because I've reported this to College of Physicians too, because what was the overdose then? If it was a false positive and high for amphetamine, what would be the overdose? One would have to assume that it would be these drugs, given all of the things that I just showed you, how it contains those things and whatnot. The fact that it's 7:30 the following day and I'm laying on my kitchen floor unresponsive. My temperature was 33. I had oxygen saturation of 92%, which I'll show you here where it says no obvious trauma in lungs. But yeah, so my temperature, or my oxygen saturation, was 92%, not 62 like they claim later, because they're trying to use that as cover up for what they caused to me. But it says here that that there was decreased levels of consciousness. When I sent this to the College of Physicians, I'll read you actually what they wrote here. I reported it to them that they did not look at that they needed to, there's definite proof that there was altercations. They say, in the complaint we treat with, okay, so it says here, the response to the complainant, she was noted on midnight March 29th with decreased levels of consciousness. The recommendation shows the ER complained the home was found with decreased oxygen saturation. She was non-responsive to whatever. Her bottles of medication were laying all around her. That's another thing, too, that's really suspicious about this whole thing. They find a naked girl with all her pill bottles laying around her, full pill bottles, empty, just laying around. And this guy, too, was on scene. He reported to tell the EMS that I was pregnant. That's why my stomach was distilled. He was the only co-worker who knew where I lived, because, like I said in a previous message, I had moved him into my home so he could be closer to work. And he brought the cups and drinks and made the drinks that night and made the comment that I offed myself that got anybody looking for me. So they're saying here that there was decreased levels of consciousness. It says that I was given Narcan, ketamine, and Mendelism prior to incubation. And that it says that her transfer to BHG were positive for amphetamine, and it was a multi-drug suspected acetaminophen overdose. Okay, so we're going to go into what they have written here. So she was transferred to Belleville ICU, ongoing management. On arrival to Belleville, her blood pressure was 108/72, 15 milligrams cc of lithium after having receiving 3 ounces of fluids. Her GCS was a 3 on no sedation. She has periods of redness over her face, upper arm, left thigh, suggestion from prolonged downtime. So they're saying that I was still level 3 going from Belleville to Bancroft, and I'm on 0 sedation. And I've shown in the other video as well too how I asked them about the comment and got a second set of medical records, and now they're claiming that they gave it to me. And this sheet shows up, and you can see the whole top part of that has been altered with, for sure, 100%. Because this is actually, Kaylee, the way it should look. You can clearly see between the two of them that it's been altered with 100%. Come on now. This guy also too claims to have told police that I was in a bathroom with a friend for over an hour. When I came out, I couldn't walk or talk, but then later tells police I was full of life, not sleepy at all. So which was it, buddy? Do you think she gave me something that knocked me out? Because now you're saying I was full of life, not sleepy at all. He also is a convicted pedophilia. He sees a psychologist twice a week. I have messages saying that from his ex. Also, too, like, I have a bald spot on the side of my head, and it's like a dented in thing, too. I don't know, and I can see it on my x-ray and stuff like that. I don't know if he did damage to my skull that night, too, but I couldn't walk properly for the first year. I had hip issues. It was brutal. I left the hospital with a cane. It's just honestly a world's worst nightmare coming true. Like, can't get legal representation because this is past 2-year limitation, but it's not like they're going to tell you, hey, we just gave you an infection that could have killed you and almost did, and cut parts of your arm off. Sorry, lucky you're alive. We saved you, though. Your kidneys and liver were shutting down because of this idiot. Like, he gave me alcohol and a serious drug, 2 of them mixed together. That's like he pretty much could have killed me. And if it wasn't for my friend calling, I would have died. I know I would have died that day. For sure, I would have. I mean, my temperature was that low and whatnot. It's just unbelievable that I'm even standing after everything I've been through. It's just horrible. But, so I've shown police all this information. They tell me stop sending me medical stuff because I told them this drug would not be given to somebody in my situation. They were testing me for alcohol poisoning, suspected Percocet poisoning, all these things, and that drug is not used in a critical setting. I've looked it up. I've done my research, and not to mention, it says on the test there that it was found high in my system. So, that makes no sense to me. This is Kaylee. Say hi. Anyways, we're just trying to fight to raise awareness because we need to, I can't even believe a woman found naked doesn't receive a rape test. It's just unbelievable. It's disgusting. And because there's no DNA, there's no way to connect this person to this crime. But isn't this enough proof? I mean, his suspicions, what did they, I don't get it. I don't get, what is wrong with people, why nobody will help me, why nobody will answer. It's just brutal. I was going to mention something else, too, about my family as well. I'll be talking about that later on tonight. I'll put a video up here about how a family was paid to keep quiet about this. And I have major proof of that as well. And it's just devastating to know that your own mother didn't care enough about you and didn't love you enough to protect you. And how the hospital can manipulate and pay people to do something so horrible to a person to prevent them from getting future treatment to help better their life. I mean, I didn't even get told about this brain injury. I found out on my own, and now I have damage, and it's too late. It's a future of Alzheimer's, and it's not fair. And anyways, just please like and subscribe. And sorry, I lost my train of thought because now she's being a little bad girl. So now I have to deal with her, and she's just a little stinker. Okay, well, single mom here trying to fight for justice. I have a GoFundMe page. If you want to make a comment, you can ask me and I'll post it, what my GoFundMe account is. Trying to get justice, to get help. I was a full-time esthetician, doing really well until this idiot came into my life and destroyed it. He deserves to be punished. These people deserve to be punished.